listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Cinemajaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting alongside us is Filmy and Phil.
Hello.
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we get back to doing our best worst categories as it's a tricky thing, and we got 3 tough questions this week.
This is a rare card. We don't pull it very often.
No.
I can't remember the last time we did a best worst.
No, and you'll remember, Jawheads, we did best worst. It was probably about 2 months ago.
Was it that recently?
Roughly,
okay.
Yeah. And we did 3 questions, and we're going to do 3 questions again. And answering the worst, when you're saying the best movie of this, a lot of times is easy. Picking out the worst, I found very tricky this week.
This week, yes.
So our best worst are best worst...
Sabotage Movies.
Our best worst...
Martin Scorsese Films.
And our best worst...
Actors in a Wes Anderson movie.
Wow. This all ties in because it is Martin Scorsese month here on Cinemajaw. That is October's theme.
I mean, dude, who's not down with Scorsese?
He has a new movie coming out, obviously, called Killers of the Flower Moon, so we are pumped to see that. We're doing Sabotage Movies because we have a review of The Creator.
Right, and there's a big sabotage theme in there.
Right, and believe it or not, our second Wes Anderson movie came out this year. This one's a short called The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar, and it's on Netflix right now.
Right. This is going to be a part of a series of Roald Dahl books that Anderson is adapting for Netflix.
Right. What a great idea.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first one is out now, Jawhead. So we got reviews of The Creator and that this week. If that wasn't enough, we have a great guest returning to Cinemajaw.
We do. Clare Cooney is going to be with us in a few minutes. She's a filmmaker from here in Chicago. She's got a new movie coming out that is going to be screening at the Chicago International Film Festival, which is amazing.
I know. I'm so excited for Claire. I can't wait to talk to her again. The Chicago connections keep on rolling. I know Claire was in a movie with Michael Glover Smith. It was called Relative. We watched it and reviewed it here on the show.
Yeah. I saw it at the New 400.
Yeah. I was just hanging out with Michael this past Tuesday. Also, Phil came out with me to the Music Box Theater for the Destroy Your Art event that Jack C. Newell and Rebecca Fons host.
Right.
This is 4 filmmakers, make short films, 5 minutes in length. We all watch it. A couple hundred people were at the Music Box, and then they destroy the film and sign papers that they've not saved it anywhere. So it's a one-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. You watch the movie, and then it's destroyed.
I'm pretty sure I ask Rebecca and Jack this every time we talk about it, but do you really think they destroy it completely?
I do. I really do. They when they're on stage, everybody talks about the seriousness of it, and these are people that they don't want to cheat the system. There's no reason to. The spirit of the event is the whole thing. You know, that's the whole caboodle. So why would you cheat it? I mean, they're not inviting like a Kabinski there that would try to like, oh, well, I know how I'm going to get around this.
I'd save it.
No. They destroy it, you know?
Yeah. Was it anything good?
Oh, man. Great films, weren't they, Phil?
All good. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything bad.
And 4.
No less.
4.
And Michael Glover Smith had one in there, which was hilarious. He even acted in this one. And his wife did, and we get an appearance from his cat. It was great.
It's probably kind of freeing, right? Because you don't have to be concerned that anyone else is ever going to see the movie.
Right.
So make it, and it gets destroyed. You have to be there.
Oh, it was awesome. So Jawheads, mark the calendar next year. It'll be around the same time. Destroy Your Art. Get out to the Music Box Theater. Good party afterwards. Phil got smashed.
As I often do.
Ended up
One of us
crashing
always does.
At my place. It was a good time. So, also. Yeah. Another big event coming up in Chicago is the Chicago International Film Festival.
True.
Kicks off here October 11th with a big block party right in front of the Music Box Theater. The premiere is We Grown Now, and then a big movie after, directed by Clare Cooney, called Departing Seniors. How exciting is that?
Very.
And it just so happens that's our guest this week, Matt. We've really tied this in rather well. Clare Cooney, welcome back to Cinemajaw.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good to be back.
You are calling in from L.A., so things have changed since the last time we had you on, which was in studio. Now you are out in L.A. How's that treating you?
I mean, if you think about it, it's been a little interesting because the minute I moved here, the pandemic hit, and
Oh,
then
wow.
recently it's been the strike. So from a like outside point of view, it seems like it's been absolute chaos since I moved here, but I really enjoy it. I love the weather. I love being able to hike. It's really cool to be surrounded by people that are all in the business, and I come back to Chicago quite often. So I'm very happy despite the circumstances.
You mean you don't miss the freezing, biting cold?
I don't miss that
That's
one
so
bit.
weird.
I do come back kind of for the summers and the fall. That's kind of when I choose to come back. So I kind of get the best of Chicago, I think, in that way.
So the last time we had you on was Phil, look it up, throw it in the fish tank, but it was for the movie Runner, which was a short film that you made and starred in, and that was awesome. Then I believe Departing Seniors, if I'm not mistaken, is your first feature-length film directing.
Correct. Yeah. You had me on my first short film as a director and now my first feature.
So
There you go.
give us the feeling. What was the news like when you got the call that said your film's going to play opening night of the Chicago International Film Festival? Where were you? How'd that go down?
Yeah, I can. It's actually a pretty fun story. I was in London. We were at the world premiere of the film at Fright Fest in the UK. And we had just screened, and it was a sold out screening of like 100, like the theater held like 95 people, and they packed in like 110, like it was completely packed, and we had to turn people away, which was upsetting, but great. And it was the first time I got to hear a full house respond to the film, so like big laughs and reactions and like all the stuff that I was like, oh my god, thank goodness it's playing, like, oh, it's playing so well. And we leave, and like everyone's come up to me and saying like, congratulations, I want to meet with you, I want to talk to you. And then my producer walks over to me, I'm not kidding, we had been out of the film for 2 minutes, and walks over to me and goes, we're in, we got into Chicago International. And I went, literally, I actually screamed because I was on such a high from what had just happened, that on top of it was like, oh my god. I remember I bent over and was like, I need a moment to process this. So it was so exciting because we've been waiting to hear if we were going to get in for so long, and we hadn't had a domestic premiere yet. And so that was like really what we were gunning for. So it was just a complete high. I didn't come down from that for days. It was awesome.
So tell the jawheads the sales pitch on Departing Seniors. What is this film about?
Yeah. So I'd say, like, I used to say it was a dark comedy thriller, and I still think that's what it is. But the more and more I watch it, the more and more I'm like, it's kind of a true comedy slasher film. And it's about this kid who is a Mexican-American queer kid, and he's being bullied at his high school. And one day he's bullied a little too much, and he has an accident, and he hits his head. And as a result of this, he starts having these psychic visions that reveal the truth behind a rash of supposed suicides at his high school. It turns out they're not so much suicides as they are murders. So it's up to him and his best friend to unmask the killer before it's too late. Dun, dun, dun.
That sounds right up my alley. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like kind of Scream meets Heathers meets Euphoria. Like that's like the general vibe.
Yeah. Buy me a ticket for that. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see it.
It's a lot of fun, and I will say, like, I think I sent you guys a link to watch it, but it's really fun to watch with the crowd. Like, it's just one of those movies you want to watch in the theater with popcorn. You want to be laughing. You want to kind of feel nervous. Like, it's definitely a really fun one. I've had some friends who are like, I'm really afraid of horror films. Could I not see it? I'm like, no, like, it's fun. Like, even while you're a little afraid, you're kind of like, ooh, who's gonna pop out? It's much more that kind of movie than it is like a true horrifying film in any way. Yeah.
So the 10 o'clock time slot at the Music Box opening night is actually perfect for this movie, right?
It's perfect because there's gonna be a big block party outside from 5 to 10, and like right outside the Music Box. It ends at 10, so like, I mean, I'm hoping we sell out way beforehand, but if we're not sold out, I'm going to be out there just being like, come right after this, come over to the movie. And we're going to all be hanging out at the Music Box, and then the movie runs, and it's an hour 25, so it's pretty tight. So it'll be done by 11:20ish. So it's kind of a perfect little time slot. I'm hoping that enough like high school seniors are allowed to come out and break curfew to come see it. That's what I really want.
So is this a story you wrote as well?
No. So my friend Jose Nateris, who's he was a Chicago playwright and now a screenwriter producer, he wrote it, and he came to me with the script and the idea a couple of years back now, and we've been kind of slowly developing it and keeping in touch about it. He had already been working on the film with the producer, Deshauna Wright, for quite a few years. So I just got pulled in to direct it, and then I ended up taking on more of a producer role as well, because directors in indie film always are producers as well.
Sure.
It's the only way that things get made. But it was great, and it was a really great kind of team collaborative thing, and we filmed it in Chicago last August.
One of the things we like to ask, because we have a lot of filmmaker listeners, is what was the most challenging thing in the process? It doesn't necessarily have to be on set. And what was the most enjoyable thing? So like your since we're doing best worst, your best and worst experience in the process.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to cheat on the best and worst thing. So I'm going to cheat on this one as well.
Go for it.
I'm going to say that like the best thing was also kind of the worst thing. And the worst thing is the amount of time and money we had. Like we had to shoot this in 16 days and we had a pretty small budget. And so there were times where I was like, oh, I would give my arm to have one more day to shoot this. You know, it just felt like it needed more time. And that's indie filmmaking for you. You know, we had to make do with what we had. So that was really painful, and that made things really challenging, like blood, sweat, and tears, literally. Everyone was sweating their butts off, and you know, people
and bleeding.
I mean, I think I got bled. I bled a couple times because I bumped myself because I'm sprinting to try to get something done, you know, and definitely tears, you know, like even like the happy tears, frustrated tears, pissed off tears, the whole thing. But in that same kind of vein, that challenge was really exhilarating, because then when you do it and when you complete this insane challenge, you feel this sense of accomplishment. Like I felt like I could fly when I was done with this film. I felt like I grew so much as a human being, as a director. I felt like much more like I could take on anything. And I just directed my first short film since directing the feature. And I could feel a shift. Like my confidence on set after having done a feature has just totally changed. Not once did I feel kind of ruffled or stressed. Like it was really remarkable to have gone through basically trial by fire on my first feature and come out stronger for it. So yeah.
Glad you got it done, and I'm glad it's finding so much success.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, I didn't know necessarily. I mean, you always make things that you believe in, and I was very involved in the cut. You know, I cut it with my friend who's in New York, and so she did the first assembly, and then I also cut. So I have Premiere Pro, so she'd send me a Premiere Pro file, and I'd cut it too, and then send it back to her. It was very collaborative, and so I was very proud of it. But we picture locked it like maybe last December, and so it's been a long wait of thinking like, well, we like it, but will anyone else like it? So Fright Fest was really the first time where we got to see how much people liked it, and also Fright Fest is really like a horror film festival, and so the horror fans there, I thought like, if I'm not going to be scary or bloody enough, are they going to really like it? And they loved it, because I think people love that kind of scream fun quality, and those aren't made as often as I think they should be. So it was really, really great.
That's a lot of times, like, especially with modern horror, like, and don't get me wrong, I love the Ari Aster stuff a lot.
Right.
But it's become so intense. Sometimes my favorite is the comedy horror genre. So it's underserved.
I just saw Barbarian recently.
Oh, I loved it.
Have seen that?
Yes.
I loved it.
Yep.
And I mean, it definitely is horror. Like I was.
Oh yeah.
At times,
especially that first segment. Oh, jeez.
Oh my! The first segment was horrifying.
It was.
But there were lots of comedic moments too, and it's really satisfying. You know, I don't want to give. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but at the end when he's like, "Go get your baby," and like and throws her over, like it's just really smart and ironic and funny, and it has kind of deeper meanings too. But it also doesn't take itself too seriously.
Right.
It's such a great blend.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Long in that movie when he's measuring the room, even though they're down in like the basement.
So it shows the difference between a man reaction to something and a woman reaction to something in a beautiful way. Oh, it's so good.
Is that the one where they get stuck in the basement?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And then it goes deeper and deeper into that basement.
Yeah.
But, that is a very funny moment with Justin Long in there. So,
yeah. And I think that when horror doesn't have to be straight up like as comedic as, a lot of things. But I think that if it incorporates a little bit of horror, like the two emotions go side by side of like cracking up and also being afraid. So I think that it's fun to kind of traffic in this sphere of things. And I'm someone who always has directed really grounded films. And so at first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be the right fit for this. And then the more I worked on it, the more I found my way into it. And we found this really nice, dry, grounded humor that seemed to really hit. So which is cool.
Do you think you'll keep mining that vein? Do you think you'll play in genre again?
I definitely think I will. I mean, Runner was a thriller. And so I keep finding myself really drawn to, like I've been sent quite a few scripts recently where I'm like, I like that it's like a psychological thriller that might have a more horrifying ending. That tends to be what I go towards. I mean, I think Get Out is a really great example of that, where it's just tension, and it's like a thriller with kind of odd comedy throughout, and then the end is when the horror starts to really ramp up, so that's kind of an interesting zone I want to keep playing in. I think so. I don't think I'll ever be doing straight horror where it's just like no kind of like rhyme or reason for why awful things are happening. I tend to need like a motivation behind why a killer is doing something. I tend to need more of a psychological and like tension-based story. But yeah, I think there's definitely room for me to play in the overall genre, and it's exciting. It's a lot of fun.
Now, you don't appear in Departing Seniors, correct? On screen, you are just strictly behind camera.
Yes, correct. It takes place in a high school, and so I'm like, respectfully, I don't think I can play high school age anymore. But I also didn't want to play a teacher. I don't know. It would feel lame. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm sure there's going to be a humongous crowd out there at the Music Box.
Oh yeah.
Again.
Yes, I want everyone to get their tickets because
yes.
we're in the big theater, and I want to sell it out, and I really think we can. So yeah,
we'll put the link in the show notes.
This is what I also say. I've told this to many, many people. The Music Box is seriously one of the best places to watch a movie in the entire country. So if you're in Chicago, the opening of the Chicago Film Fest is going on, a block party, and then you get this great comedy horror made by Clare Cooney. Get out there, support it. Come on. Yeah. So. I'm going to be out there. It's going to be awesome.
Before we wrap it up, Claire, you mentioned you were working on a short before we hit record, and a little bit in this interview. I didn't want to drop the names or anything. So what are you working on? Can you talk about it?
Okay, so one is a short film I just directed that I could for sure talk about. We filmed that on the reservation in Arizona over 3 very, very hot days. And it is a film about 3 generations of indigenous women. And one of them has a gambling addiction, and it's kind of how it affects the entire family. And it's basically a very human story taking place in a native world and community. And so that was, I think it's one of the most special things I've directed, and I'm really, really excited to see where that film goes. So that's a huge one. And then the film I'm just ADing this weekend, so I don't know if I should talk about it, but it is starring someone who is a very big name. His initials are EH, and I'm excited. I'm excited to hang out on set there and play. And then after that, I'm acting and producing in another short film. So it feels like short films are kind of my life right now.
busy out there in LA, I tell you.
Well, people are all doing shorts now because of the strike, so that's not affected. So people that are bigger names or people that would not normally do a short film are now
suddenly available.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, take advantage.
Yeah, awesome.
Exactly.
For Jawheads, people listening to this that want to keep up with where the film's playing, find out updates, where should we send them online so that they can keep track of things?
Absolutely. Honestly, the best way to do it would be to go to my Instagram. It's a kind of a pretentious sounding name, and I apologize for that. It's Clare Cooney Official. It's because all the versions of just Clare Cooney were stolen, so I was like, whatever. I'm gonna commit to this. I'm gonna say I'm an official person. So Clare Cooney Official on Instagram is a great one, but also Departing Seniors has its own Instagram. Let me see if I can find the handle for that. Also, my name's Claire with no I, so ClareCooney Official. And then Departing Seniors, it's departing_seniors. So that's where all the news reviews, dates, film festival stuff will all be posted there.
And Jawheads, I follow Claire on Instagram, and I mean, she puts
do I.
Yeah, she puts some great stuff on there. I mean, if she splits her thumb open, you learn about this stuff on Instagram. She's got it all out there. So hopefully the thumb's doing better.
It really is. It's doing way better. But I try to put my authentic self out there. Take it or leave it. You can unfollow me if it's too much for you, but enjoy it.
Well, we know that you wrote the post with your index finger.
I still have to text with my. There's no way it's not going to happen. But hopefully by the premiere on October 11th, I'll be in better shape. We'll see.
Yeah. We will see Claire out there. Hopefully we will see a lot of Jawheads out there. Matt, we did mention the surprise is out of the bag. October is Martin Scorsese month. We're going to kick this thing off now with a Martin Scorsese fact.
Yes, it's great. I at least, maybe I use the term "we" too much. Is that a self-projection? I don't know. It's not my place to say. Our first Marty Scorsese fact relates to me personally because it's very similar to me as a child. Scorsese had really bad asthma and could not play sports or like take part in physical activities with the other kids. So, to work around this, what his parents and his older brother Frank Scorsese would do is take a very young Martin to movie theaters. And then all those trips are what developed Martin's passion for cinema, his probably, right? Like, Claire, the official thing is not pretentious because we're talking about Martin Scorsese. Like, no opinion you can have is going to be... we can believe whatever we want. We're always going to be better than him. Sorry if you're listening, Martin.
He listens every week.
Sure.
He never missed an episode.
That's where it all came from, was having asthma.
Interesting. I was going to say, if the last two people we celebrated got into film and they had a background in ballerina. I thought if Martin Scorsese turns out that he was taking
ballet,
I would be shocked.
Oh, I guess not. It's not in the cards, Rye.
He's too
asthma.
asthmatic.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our first big question, best worst. And I struggled this one. I think we all had to struggle with this because we have to answer what's the worst Martin Scorsese film in our opinion.
Even the best is difficult to pick.
I agree.
So the way I got around this is my best and worst right now in this moment. I'm not going to be held to this forever.
No, you are going to be held for this forever.
No. Just until...
Put it this way.
Next time.
When I see Claire on October 11th, what I'm going to say, I'm going to yell it out loud. Claire picked so-and-so movie as her worst Martin Scorsese.
I'm comfortable with that. Comfortable with that. It's fine.
Why don't we find out what that movie will be?
Yeah. Well, let's do our best first.
Okay, let's do our best first. All right. Start
Claire,
with the positivity.
Yeah, let's just give us your best Martin Scorsese film.
Okay. So to be clear, this is really, really hard.
I agree.
Extremely, extremely hard. I think I have to give the edge to The Departed.
Okay.
Not a bad pick.
There isn't a bad pick in the bunch.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. I love a crime thriller. As I said, I'm a big thriller person. I just was gripped by it. I think the acting's incredible in it. The story is fantastic. The way it's cut is fantastic. I don't know. I think that's got to be my favorite. Although there's lots of close seconds. I like Taxi Driver a lot too. Obviously, there's a lot of good movies. So yeah.
No argument here with The Departed. Definitely one that I considered. I can still remember when Leo meets his demise in that one. No, there's spoiler here. I was stunned.
Shocking.
Stunned. I remember it was like, oh my God moment in the theater. You could hear audible gasp come from everybody.
And Mark Wahlberg.
That, but then he gets out. Yeah, he gets out and he shoots the other guy
right.
too. And yeah.
It's wild.
And Wahlberg.
Yeah.
You know, this guy gets cast in a Scorsese movie. Must have been a big day for Marky Mark, you know?
Hit the big time.
Yeah. Let's give one our respect.
Your pick for best, Matt.
Okay. This is really hard because I just knee-jerk wanted to say Goodfellas, but I tried to dig a little deeper, just a little deeper. So I'm going with the one that most people might have guessed, Taxi Driver.
Yeah, that's
the first time I saw Taxi Driver, I think of it as the first time I saw a real movie, a real film. Like up to then, I was watching, and don't get me wrong, not casting shade on all the great stuff I saw in the 80s, like the Goonies and the Steven Spielberg stuff, and it was great. But then I saw Taxi Driver, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I had no idea you were allowed to make a movie like this. It was so like the alienation and the isolation and just the paranoia of Travis Bickle just flows off the screen. To this day, I don't think it's been touched. Like, maybe some people want to say like other movies come close. I don't know. It stands apart.
It's a great one. It took me forever to see that one too. So I had it, when you've missed a classic and everybody tells you about it,
Yeah.
it sometimes doesn't live up to the hype.
Right.
But that is one that totally does. I was like, I finally sat down. I was like, okay, now I know why everybody's talking about this one. It's a masterpiece,
Yeah, it is. Where do you go?
So
Best?
I'm glad because I think we got all of his big ones covered here because I did land on Goodfellas.
Yeah, good for you. I'm glad.
I went back and forth. I thought like maybe I shouldn't say Goodfellas. Is that too easy? But it's really like my introduction to Martin Scorsese. Like the idea of like, oh my God, this guy knows what the hell he's doing. We quoted the movie a ton, and it just got better as I got older and I realized how great the movie actually is. Not just on the quotable level, like when you're younger and you're watching it and you like the characters and Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta. It's great to love these guys, and I'm going to get the papers. Everybody knows these lines, But then, as you become, a fan of cinema, you get older, you start to almost like study film, and then you watch the movie, and you're like, the way he moves the camera, the long shots, everything about Goodfellas. We've mentioned it as one of our best narration movies.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I love about Goodfellas that I had to put it at number one.
No arguments here.
That's very fair. Yeah.
All right. Now, what I thought was the toughest, I didn't sleep last night, to be honest. I couldn't get this question out of my mind. Picking a worst Martin Scorsese, where do we put it here, Claire?
I'm nervous. I have to go with... Okay, and I also haven't seen all of them, to be clear. He's got like,
Same.
what, 26? I've only seen like probably 12 or something like that, right? So I don't know. But of the ones I've seen, I think... purely because I hate the lead actor, The Color of Money. I don't like Tom Cruise.
My goodness.
No, that's
like
a fair.
Tom Cruise.
That's
I don't know.
Wait a second. That's a fair pick, Claire. It's a fair pick. I considered that for my list too. It's a good movie, right? We're saying all of his movies.
All his movies are good.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen the one that everyone says is bad, the boxcar one. But all his movies are good. So of those, I just found it to be the most like kind of commercially, I don't know. And Tom Cruise is just such a dork. I just can't stand him. And
Paul
for
Newman
me
in it, though.
personally, yeah, I know Paul Newman's great, but yeah.
But
yeah,
Paul
I think
Newman,
I was just
he was trying to sell the movie. Yeah, I agree. There's something artificial about it.
It's in the bottom half of his films, is what I'd say.
Matt.
No arguments. I mean, listen, we're all going to get shit for our picks. It's just a given. We're going to get crap for these picks. I also haven't seen, I think I'm above 500 on his filmography, but just barely.
Over 50%.
Yes.
Okay.
So I am going with The Aviator.
Oof.
It's a bit of a slog. If we're being honest, it's a bit of a slog. I like some scenes, but as a whole, the narrative is a little disjointed and messy. I get it. He was trying to show Howard Hughes's deterioration of his mental state. Fine. Doesn't necessarily come across in an entertaining way.
Sure.
I love other movies of his better. It's a good movie.
It is.
It's just not my favorite. I'm saying it's his worst.
I will also say I don't think it's aged very well. Sometimes you go back and you watch a movie after it's been out for 10 years. I go back and I watched this one. I caught a little bit of it. I was like, it's really not aging that well. Like I don't have a need to sit down with The Aviator again. Like I said, like Goodfellas, for instance, using it as an example. There's a movie where I go for a long time not seeing it, and I'm like, you know what? I got to rewatch Goodfellas.
Always classic.
I don't have that feeling at all with The Aviator. It's like, I take it or leave it if I never see it again. I will say that.
Who played Hepburn in that?
Kate Blanchett.
What a performance. But that's about all the best thing I can say for that movie.
So, leaves me with my pick. And this actually, I remember there were some critics the year it came out, which was 2016, not that long ago, actually had it on their top 10 list. So, sorry, but it just didn't connect with me. And I think that's why I put it as his worst. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's Silence.
Nope.
I haven't seen that now.
Complete silence. They haven't seen it. Okay. So this is about 17th century Portuguese missionaries that are going to
Riveting.
going to Japan to spread the word of Christianity. Well,
Wow.
I mean, all right. I'm just not into this topic that much. You know, I'm not extremely
You don't say. Yeah.
religious. And the cast was good. It had Adam Driver, Andrew Garfield, and
Right.
Liam Neeson. They're going to see their like teacher who went over there first, which was Liam Neeson. They're trying to find him.
I'm pretty sure Liam Neeson has never made a bad movie.
All right. Wait until we get to our. I actually have another Liam Neeson coming up today, folks. But again, I think it was the subject matter. Nothing connected for me at all. It was like 2 hours of just sitting there waiting for something to connect, and nothing ever came. And I was like, well, I guess this was just a miss for me with Marty, so I had to put it on my list.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Marty's pretty close, but he's not perfect.
The one I almost put on my list for worst, and I was wondering if you thought it was bad. I reached out to my cousin, Andrew. You know him.
Oh, yeah.
Writes in on the show at times. I know he listens. I said, Andrew, what would you say, best, worst Marty? He went with, for best, he went with The Departed. Agrees with Claire. For his worst, he went with Bringing Out the Dead.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't? With
No.
Nick Cage?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
I honestly didn't even know about this movie until I started doing my research.
Okay. Yeah, it's also not that strong. You know, I agree that it's got to be near bottom for Scorsese. But, so, we'll see what kind of
Interesting.
feedback we get with our Scorsese's best and worst.
There's a bunch. You know what? I got to catch up with a bunch of Marty films this month.
I agree.
So
I'll
get to work.
I'm missing the king of comedy.
I haven't seen that either.
Okay, maybe we'll do a retro review.
That would be great.
Speaking of reviews,
Yeah, speaking of reviews, Rye, in 2010, Gareth Edwards burst onto the scene with Monsters, an indie gem that still holds up. Since then, he's been somewhat of a go-to guy for sci-fi projects featuring creatures and destruction, like the 2014 Godzilla reboot and Star Wars Rogue One, arguably his best film. Edwards returns with a writing, producing, and directing trifecta credit with the cut from whole cloth movie The Creator. This high-budget feature seems to be equal parts Blade Runner, Matrix, Rogue One, and District 9 with a dash of Short Circuit thrown in. Can this original, not based on anything movie that plays with our fears of AI and the military-industrial complex deliver an action-packed and thought-provoking experience? That's a sentence, man. Or is it just a retreading of the same old ground? Ryan and I scanned our movie-going brains and downloaded them into a thumb drive, plugged it in to find out.
When the war started, they protected me. Took better care of me than humans would have.
They're not people, Maya. It's just programming.
10 years ago today, the artificial intelligence created to protect us detonated a nuclear warhead in Los Angeles. This is a fight for our very existence.
As I mentioned, The Creator is not based on any pre-existing property. For a film like that to get made and a theatrical release today is an accomplishment in and of itself. The synopsis reads as follows. As a future war between the human race and artificial intelligence rages on, an ex-Special Forces agent, Joshua, played by John David Washington, is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, or Nirmata, the elusive architect of advanced AI. The Creator has developed a mysterious weapon that has the power to end the war and all of mankind. As Joshua and his team of elite operatives venture into enemy-occupied territory, they soon discover the world-ending weapon is actually an AI in the form of a young child. The film progresses briskly, and for the most part, this is good, since the plot can be somewhat confusing, tugging our allegiances this way and that. It's good that it pays off, and those payoffs come quickly. Loose ends get tied up in short order. However, and I know I'm going to sound complaining on this, Rye, this is a movie that could have used more time. In fact, I would have been down to watch this story play out in a trilogy. There's a whole trilogy crammed into 2 hours. So I guess take from that what you will. If you're a fan of fast-paced Paul Verhoeven type sci-fi, then there's a lot to like here. And if you like to contemplate the implications of AI and war, then you might be disappointed. But perhaps Edwards has it right after all. Maybe Time to contemplate things would have brought down the illusion, because when you stop to think too deeply about the world this movie takes place in, it kind of falls apart. For example, in a war between machines and people, why wouldn't the machines have the advantage? Why aren't they super intelligent? Why are they not on the internet? And in the America of this film, where AI is supposedly banned, why is the TSA run by robots? I mean, dude, all of that being said, I think this is an 80s throwback disguised as a thinking man's sci-fi. Clearly, the casting of Washington was a nod in that direction, Tenet. But I was okay with all of that. Even for an original film that isn't all that original, I had fun, and the effects were cool as hell. This is an adventure movie, so unplug your brain and upload it.
Yeah, I've said many a times on this podcast, a movie scores major points with me if it looks good, and I also love originality when it comes to the world building. And the creator excels at both these categories. I mean, that's what all the fun is about, I think, is the world building that he has and sort of the alternate universe. If Jawheads have watched For All Mankind on Apple TV, they go with like an alternative timeline. And we get that a little bit in the beginning. Love that kind of stuff. And then the entire look of really pretty much everything, from the robots to the ships that were doing the scanning before they would drop missiles down, and the sounds that would make. Everything, I loved all of that stuff. I just completely ate it up. The performance by John David Washington, great.
He's good. He's great.
He's solid. And the girl who is the child AI, she's played by Madeline, I'm going to butcher her last name, Yeoh Vallis.
Okay.
Excellent. I mean, brought tears to my eyes at one point.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little misty-eyed there.
I didn't get that at all. I kept waiting to connect with this child, and I just didn't.
I liked their connection, John David Washington and Madeline's connection on screen. I thought it really worked for me. I will say that maybe the story wasn't complicated enough for the world that he had built. Like you're talking about maybe a trilogy.
It could have been a trilogy.
But I don't know if he had enough substance in the story. It was like a little bit of a letdown was that it didn't like connect story-wise as much as everything else was working in its favor. It was like, wow, I saw it on IMAX. Like, I was like, oh my God, I was blown away. I was like, I haven't seen a movie look this good in years. And
it looks great.
We're saying big budget, but it's only 80 million. That is not that big.
No.
I mean, we just talked about Indiana Jones was 300 and some million. I mean, 80 million, what this guy did, I'd say is one of the best looking films in a couple of years.
I completely agree with that. Don't know how much I loved the world building. I think that's where it was a little light. If this had gotten 3 films or maybe a series, right? I thought they could have expanded that. Like, first they have to find the weapon, which we know right from the synopsis is a child. That could have been a whole part or movie in and of itself. And then, things change from there. I don't want to get into what happens, spoiler territory, but yeah, I don't know, man.
We do need to mention Allison Janney is also in this.
Yeah, all right. So I have some questions for the peanut gallery here. Let's start there. What did you think of the rest of the cast? I mean, did we kind of cover that already?
Pretty much, except for Allison Janney. I did want to mention. I love Allison Janney. I'm in her super fan club.
Super fan here.
Yeah. I don't know
also,
if this
Ken Watanabe is in this.
Yes, he's in this also. I don't know if this is the best kind of role for Allison Janney. She plays like a hard-ass military commander.
I totally thought this was a great role for her.
Really?
Yeah, when she's in the dropship and she like sheds a tear about somebody she's lost to war, that was probably one of the best moments of this movie.
I'm glad you liked it. I thought, if anything, she was a little miscast.
Allison Janney can play the comedic characters, we know, but I think she also has a bit of a commanding presence. Like, she's a tough cookie. I bought it.
And here she was tough, for sure.
I think just in general, I see her as tough. We talked about the effects. Do you agree with me, Ryan, about the plausibility of the movie, that if you look behind the curtain, this all starts to crumble?
Yeah, I mean, to a large degree. I think they try to like set it up because in the very beginning of the movie, we this is not a major spoiler. We are told that there was a nuclear bomb.
I think that's also in the trailer.
Right. So there was like a nuclear bomb detonated by AI when we were using it here in the United States. So I think there was some jargon in there over, the newscasts or whatnot as they were speeding us up with the story, talking about how we eradicated AI out of the United States. I mean, it's a movie. You got to sort of go with it, right?
I guess.
So yeah,
A little lazy.
You can nitpick all these kinds of sci-fi movies.
But why are the robots stupid? They have all the fallibility and quirks of a human being. They sleep. They sleep. Are you kidding? Why is a robot sleeping?
He's getting energy. It's basically like, don't you got to charge your scooter?
They're not charging. There's no cables.
But that's along the lines. It was some type of like, okay, they do this and then it recharges. That was like an idea.
Ridiculous.
It was all right.
Okay, and also, why are they so shitty at strategy? They're robots. They're machines. They should be able to play out every single possibility in their brain. Like, robots beat us at chess already. So you don't think they would beat us at war if it came to that?
Again, you're nitpicking.
No, that's not a nitpick. These robots are dumb. They're like every bit as dumb as a normal human being, and they have no special powers. They're just like people.
What do you
with
want?
metal.
Want running around with lightsabers? Come on.
No, I want them to be AIs. I want them to have a positronic brain and think.
Well, I thought the idea of that once we give birth to AI and it starts to take over, what is AI then going to evolve into? I thought the movie was going to go and answer some more of those kind of questions and theories.
This is good. Yeah, it doesn't.
And it stops short of that, unfortunately. And that's what I would have liked explored more, because I love that idea. We always, in all of our movies and all of our writing, it's always like, oh, and then we hit the switch and AI took over, and that's like the end of the story in almost every science fiction.
No, it's not. Think about Terminator.
I'm saying, though, it's as soon as the machines are still fighting the humans in Terminator, for instance. What happens when they've decimated the human race and now they're going to evolve? What are they going to evolve into?
Right. It doesn't tackle that whatsoever. Right. It doesn't. But this is also, we got Terminator, we have The Matrix, where clearly the AI, the machines, are the bad guy. And I'm sure I can come up with hundreds of other examples given enough time. This is a trope, right? Here we have something that plays with our conception of who is the good guy and who is the bad guy. And I don't want to necessarily say where the film lands, but what did you think? Was this a pro-AI movie?
Well, I think it was at least a little bit more open to the idea of it's not necessarily the end-all, be-all evil being that we're casting it as sometimes.
Right. We see also in the trailer the little kids say, I want robots to be free.
Right. I heard an interview, I read it.
iRobot, that's another one.
About Gareth Edwards saying, it's supposed to be an analogy for people that are different trying to fit in, and society saying, open their arms and welcoming these people.
Yeah, I get that, but it's a little too on the nose with today's day and age with AI and everything we're going through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now we're looking for more complicated story and it to tell us a little bit something more, some type of philosophy about AI, and that, I guess, was lacking. And so there, I would say I had some issue with it.
But definitely a cool movie.
Oh, hell yeah. And I actually walked out kind of pissed. I mean, we get originality.
Kinda.
Yeah. But the look of the movie anyways, and everything was awesome.
Very cool. I agree.
And it just made me mad that we get so many sequels. You got superhero movies. We got reboots. We got all this stuff. And it's like, can't we get at least this maybe 10 times a year?
We got it.
I'm saying once. I'm saying, can't we get it like every 4 or 5 weeks? Like we get the reboots and let's get originality back in on a large scale like this. I think more people, I'm praying that people go out and see this movie and it does well at the box office. So that bodes well for these studios to give these filmmakers the money to do exactly this. It was refreshing. You got to give it that.
I give it that. I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, do you got a movie poster quote?
The creator is an original film that seems very familiar. Deja vu?
I went with, the world Gareth Edwards builds on screen is worth the price of admission.
It was pretty cool.
Jaw-dropping moment?
That helicopter crash. Talk about Paul Verhoeven. That was brutal.
It was.
I mean, you see bodies flying. It was like shockingly violent by today's standards.
You probably know mine if you really thought about it, but about 30 minutes into the movie, we get a scene where they got to go behind enemy lines into New Asia, and they're on the helicopter.
Oh, Platoon.
Yes,
Also.
kind of like a Platoon moment actually in the helicopter, and a classic needle drop comes on of Radiohead.
Oh, that was a cool moment, man.
And you know what a Radiohead fan I am, and when everything in its right place comes on, it was like, okay, I'm all in on this movie. This is phenomenal.
That was a great needle drop.
And that was like a minute and a half of the song of just nothing but Radiohead playing with these cool images, and you're feeling good. And you're in the IMAX. It's like, all right, awesome.
That was cool. How many Jaws?
I went 3.5 Jaws,
Wow.
just shy of a 4 Jaw. Again, I wanted a little bit more out of the story to give it a full 4.
Clary's being too generous. I'm only giving this 3 Jaws.
Oh, okay, we're close.
We're close.
We're close. We're not way off on this one.
This
That's
is
good.
not a bad movie by any stretch.
No.
It's
I'll have
cool.
to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
got some flaws, but that's okay. At least it's original. Like, I agree. Let's make more new stuff.
Yes. 3.5 Jaws for Rye the Movie Guy, 3 Jaws for Matt Kay, the creator, out in theaters, Jawheads. Please get out there and support it. For nothing else, a message to Hollywood. We want some more originality, you know?
Yeah. And then if 2 or 3 more come, okay, I'm all right. That'd
Well-
be great. As long as the first one's new.
Yeah. And then we'll start another one.
Yeah. That's how it works.
So I asked Matt, what question, best, worst, can you give me out of the creator? And what'd you come up with?
You know, we're going to be playing some like the Beastie Boys intro as we ramp up to this question. Best Sabotage movies.
Best Sabotage
And Rye
movies.
can't stand it because he know I planned it.
Best, worst Sabotage movies. Was this a little bit easier than the Scorsese question, Claire?
I don't know. It was actually harder in some ways because sabotage can mean a lot of different things. Like it can be a moment where a character kind of sabotages someone else for like revenge, but it could also be like the setup for the entire film is like a sabotage movie, and like it could be almost any genre. Like I kept thinking of like a lot of rom-coms and like comedies, like where there's a lot of sabotaging going on, but then also some much more like action movies and stuff like that. So it was actually tough. I don't know.
I'm interested to hear. What do you got as your best Sabotage movie?
Okay, I hope this counts because it's only one moment, really, but it's a powerful one. Whiplash.
I love the
Great
movie.
one.
Yeah.
Great one.
Yeah, where basically, he gives him the wrong sheet music because he found out that he testified against him in court. And it's just really humiliating. And I mean, I just love that movie. I mean, I think Miles Teller is incredible in that film. And I've seen that film a ton of times. And it's just the kind of tension, like really tight film I want to make one day. I love that film. I think that that relationship between those two characters is a fascinating one in terms of the cruelty there, but also the respect there. And it depicts a teacher-student relationship that is incredibly unhealthy and not okay and toxic, and yet is all too common. I think that's a great film.
No arguments
Yeah.
here. That's actually a great pick.
Good. Yeah. Good. You had to dig that one out. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Mine is gonna pale by comparison because maybe I had Gareth Edwards on my mind, and I recently got roasted saying that this is the best Star Wars movie, but I'm going with Rogue One as the best Sabotage. It's their mission. They know it's a suicide mission, and yet they go to sabotage the escape of the plans of the Death Star.
Right.
I forget exactly what they're trying to destroy at the end of Rogue One. Do you remember?
No.
They have to transmit the plans to the rebel ship.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and then they destroy the base, the Imperial base at the last second. And
Right.
don't escape. I think it's the best Star Wars movie. I said it. I stand behind
It's a
it.
good one. Yeah, it's a very good one.
So I also went sci-fi for my best Sabotage.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say I also went Star Wars.
No, didn't go Star Wars, though. I went back just a couple years ago to Dune, which has a great sabotage. Is really the opening story. You got the family, Atreides family, is given Arrakis, the planet, and they're supposed to rule over that to take care of the spice. From the Emperor gives out these rules, and then of course this whole army led by Skarsgård comes back and actually sabotages and or attacks the Atreides family, killing Oscar Isaac.
I think
and
you're
so
the only
forth.
person on Earth who understands what actually happened in Dune.
I mean,
I was going to say, I'm not a Dune fan, which I know is a really unpopular opinion, but I felt like it was all a prequel. I felt like it was just setting up a world, and I want a film. I want more than just the prequel.
I think
It was the
I don't know.
wrapper, and at the end of the movie, we finally had taken the wrapper off.
Yeah, I do think that once they're all out, it's going to be phenomenal. I agree. It ended abruptly for sure. I mean, we've talked
For
about
sure,
that.
yeah.
But there's definitely sabotage in the opening of Dune. So that's
Yeah.
where I went. For my worst, I'm going to start this time.
Yeah, let's go the other direction.
Yes,
I like
make
that.
it.
So I went with a Liam Neeson movie for the worst, and I can't recommend watching this one, Jawheads. It's on Netflix. It's called The Ice Road, and just get a load of this. I'm going to sum it up really quick.
Okay.
He plays a truck driver, like semi-truck driver.
This isn't the one where he's the snowplow guy. That one was actually pretty good.
No, this one's different. This is he's a semi-truck driver, and some miners get stuck out north of like Winnipeg, somewhere up there in Canada. The only way they can get them is by driving over an ice road, which is basically
A frozen lake.
a frozen lake, and they're on semi-trucks, and they give like a reward out of some large sum of money that these 4 truck drivers can split if they go up there and save the miners. Of course, one of the truck drivers sabotages the other truck driver so that he can be the only one getting the reward from the miners. And we get the truck falling in the ice. We get Liam Neeson, jumping onto another truck, saving a driver. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. It's a terrible movie with a lot of sabotage in there. The Ice Road, stay away from it. It's a clunker.
All right. I mean, I sometimes like it, like guilty pleasure, like Liam Neeson.
That's
crap.
why I watched it. I was like, but he's driving over a lake, a frozen lake. All right, I'll give it a spin, and not a good one.
That bad, huh? All right. Speaking of that bad, I'm going all the way back to 1998 for mine. The remake of Lost in Space with Gary Oldman playing Dr. Smith.
Yes.
Who sabotages Robbie the Robot.
Right.
Danger
Man, I
Will
saw this
Robinson.
way back then. I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, it's a pile. It's a steaming pile. It's
It's got Joey from Friends in it, right? Yeah. What's he doing in there?
Yikes.
Joey
Matt
from
LeBlanc.
Friends.
Matt LeBlanc. I was digging for the name in my brain. I couldn't. Thank you. Now
Any friend's name I can pull up within a second.
I could just hear the theme song. Oh man, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Don't bother. I think they're redoing it again.
Well, they made a Lost in Space series on Netflix.
Right. I can't speak to that.
Throw it in the fish tank. Is there anything else Lost in Space? But I have not seen the series, but I think it was pretty well received.
Just go watch the original series. That's where it's at.
Danger, Matt Kay.
Exactly.
Claire, your worst sabotage movie.
All right, I'm cheating on this one. I'm so sorry. I don't think I really see many bad movies because I read reviews and I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch that. Apparently it sucks. So I feel like I don't watch enough to have a really, truly bad one. So I looked up, there are 2 movies I love that are both like not good movies. They're not at all good, but they're really fun. And I love them. I looked up which one has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score and chose based off of that. So I'm going to go ahead and say Miscongeniality. It is just a great movie, but it's by no means a great movie. Actually, it's pretty bad, but it's fantastic, and I've watched it lots of times. And the whole thing is a setup that Candice Bergen's trying to sabotage who's going to win Miscongeniality and kind of blow up the whole pageant. And so I love it. I think it's kind of I'm due for a rewatch, but I realized that a lot of rom-coms like that. Oh my God, I love Miscongeniality. It's so bad, but it's so good. I think a lot of movies like that use sabotage. It's like used in rom-coms. Like,
Well, especially like
How to
Mean
Lose
Girl.
a Guy in 10 Days, Mean Girls. Yeah, I mean, there's all that kind of stuff. Which I mean, I wouldn't put Mean Girls in the movies that are bad that they're good. I think I put that in a good movie.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of category, but like. Miscongeniality, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Those are like movies that are pretty bad, but they're good. You know? So there you go. I kind of cheated on that one, but I couldn't come up with a really bad one.
And anytime a Sandra Bullock movie comes up as a worst, I'm okay.
Yeah. Famously, Ryan hated Sandy for a long, long time.
I know.
You've come around.
I have come around on her, but boy, I gave her a tough time for many years here on the show.
It was.
Well, I was thinking, like, yeah, not many men are going to be like, oh, yeah, love me some, like, Miss Congeniality. So I think it can count as a, quote, bad movie from the masses. Yeah.
I like Miss Congeniality. I watch it with my mom occasionally. That's the exact kind of movie the two of us can agree on, you know?
Amazing.
Yep.
Good stuff. Jawheads, if we missed your favorite and worst Sabotage movie and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet. We're at Cinemajaw, or you can email us feedback@cinemajaw.com. We are taking a quick break. When we come back, a review of the new Wes Anderson movie, and Claire is taking Matt on. I haven't even announced the trivia topic.
Oh, yeah.
In honor of The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar, you are playing Wonder movie trivia.
I wonder who's going to win.
Ooh. Stick with us, Jawheads.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Kicking off Martin Scorsese month here with a clip that I still just absolutely adore. When I watched this one, getting it ready, Jawheads, I watched it 3 times and smiled throughout. It comes to us from Gangs of New York, and it's the opening moment when the two gangs meet at the 5 Points, and we get this great introduction to Bill the Butcher, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and he gives this wonderful speech before the two gangs come to warfare right in the middle of 5 Points. Enjoy it.
Is this it, priest? The Pope's new army? A few crusty bitches and a handful of ragtags?
I know, Bill. You swore this was a battle between warriors, not a bunch of Miss Nancys. So warriors is what I brought.
Bene. And my challenge! By the ancient laws of combat, we are met at this chosen ground to settle for good and all. Who holds sway over the 5 Points? Us natives, born rightwise to this fine land, or the foreign hordes defiling it?
Sparkling drinks, it awful a dandy, 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 dandy.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out with Clare Cooney. Her directorial feature film, Departing Seniors, is opening up the Chicago International Film Festival, playing 10 o'clock at the Music Box on October 11th. Get out there. Come see Claire. She's going to give a Q&A afterwards, I'm sure. She might be a little tipsy because she's celebrating the Chicago premiere, but she'll give a Q&A. Really quick before we get into the fish tank, directors that inspire you, Claire, give us a few.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot. Honestly, I'm not even he doesn't really impact my style at all, but like I love Wes Anderson. I was looking at like his list of movies and I was like, holy crap, like they're all so good and so fun. I'm a big Spielberg fan. Like I didn't realize it until recently when I was kind of prepping to do the movie. I was like watching Catch Me If You Can, and I also watched what's the one with Tom Cruise that's like kind of sci-fi?
Minority Report.
No, and he also did
Minority Report.
There's another one though.
And then he did War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, War of the Worlds. So, but point is, I was watching a lot of different Spielberg because he traffics in so many different genres, and I was amazed at the way in which he can do that. But also, he's just the king of blocking, and the way he uses the camera movement and blocking is really amazing. And I took intense notes on that because we are trying to make our days, and the way to do that is you can't do too much wide, medium shot, reverse shot. You have to be kind of creative in how you're going to set up a shot, and also that's just more satisfying for an audience to have more variety there. So I mean, those are very obvious people to point out, but they're both amazing. Recently, who's been inspiring me the most, it's for sure Greta Gerwig, just because I love Lady Bird. I think she's doing a killer job. I think we need more people like her to get big box office kind of opportunities. I think she's a brilliant mind. And so, yeah, I mean, there's so many people that I'm inspired by that I'm probably not even fully absorbing how much they have influenced me. You know, it's almost this like subconscious like sponge effect where I'm just like drinking in all the good stuff. So I have a million different people I'm inspired by.
Awesome.
Yeah. That is. I'm pretty stoked on Gerwig right now too.
Totally.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, let's open up that fish tank.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yes, thank you all so much. It's so great to be out of the fish tank this week. I was typing away here because one of these was like a deeper level. Well, you know me, I like when we have weird ones, when we can get to the nitty gritty. It's really exciting. Our first one, this is our iconic one. This one I can do like the back of my hand because every repeat guest, it's like, I know how to do it. It was when was the last time Claire on? And for the record, I will shamelessly plug how easy it is to use the Cinemajaw website to Google, or I guess not Google, but to search guests. Super easy. I do it all the time. Claire was back on episode 425 last. Best Witness Movies is what we had done. This was in 2019.
A lifetime ago, right?
We reviewed Rocket Man, Billy Joel.
No, not Billy Joel.
Elton John.
I'm sorry, right. Elton John biopic. That was 200 episodes 4 years ago.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Seems like yesterday, in a way, and also a lifetime ago. The pandemic is weird. It's like a time tunnel.
And then our second one, the question I put in is how much Lost in Space shit is there?
That's a fair question.
Yeah, just put it all under the blanket. How much of it is there? And this is where it gets complicated because do we count the Swiss Family Robinsons?
No.
Okay. Then we'll throw that out. And we'll start with, obviously, the original series, the 98 film that Matt was mentioning. This was super cool. There was not super cool, but a cool factoid. In 2004, there was a reboot called The Robinsons Lost in Space.
TV or movie?
TV.
Okay.
It was only a pilot because it was so bad. And the craziest part...
Was Matt LeBlanc in it?
No, but John Woo directed it.
Interesting.
That's odd.
The bullet time had to be awesome. I
kind of want to see that now.
Right.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be awesome. Then there's the Netflix series from 2018 to 2021, and then we start getting into the weeds.
Wow, 2018 to 2021? That's a long time.
Yeah, 3 seasons. I knew it was semi-successful.
That's older than Claire's Cinemajaw history, so it's crazy, right?
It is.
Yeah, I had no idea. Lost in Space. Did they go Lost in Space?
I didn't look that part up. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I was too busy thinking Face Off was awesome. John Woo, dude just derails everything you do.
Well, we're still in the fish tank. Next week on the show, Jawheads, we are going to review Exorcist Believer and start our October fun of horror movies. I don't know what we're going to talk, but we got to go horror next week.
If they don't have the Monkeys song somewhere in the movie, I'm going to be pissed.
This is a direct sequel to The Exorcist.
No, it's not.
Do your research.
No, I'm sure that's what they're saying, but let's be honest here. No, it's not. It's not.
Linda Blair's in it
right now.
Linda Blair?
Linda Blair's been in a lot of movies.
All right,
okay?
I'm just telling you.
No, that's preposterous.
All right.
They're just wringing that towel. They're going to get every drop out of it.
Just letting you know. Hey, I'm going to see it. We're going to talk about it next week on the show. I think that's everything.
That's all we got.
Jump back in that fish tank.
You bet.
Our second review here, Matt, comes to us via Wes Anderson. Now, back in 2009, Wes gave us the best Roald Dahl adaptation with his stop-motion masterpiece, The Fantastic Mr. Fox. Now, Wes Anderson has teamed up with Netflix to do 4 short films for the streamer based on Roald Dahl's stories. This is a great idea for Netflix because I'm not sure where he would release the film when it's only 39 minutes long. The first installment is the wonderful story of Henry Sugar, and Matt and I watched the movie with blindfolds on to see if Wes could conquer the short form format.
Henry Sugar was 41 years old, unmarried and rich.
Strange.
The following is what Henry read in the little blue exercise book.
Gentlemen, I'm a man who can see without using his eyes.
He saw it, I cried. He saw that trolley. This is absolutely unbelievable. I was flabbergasted.
This is a terrific piece of information. This could change my life.
An extraordinary thing happened. All at once, he sees through his own skin. Like an X-ray, only better. He sees everything.
Most short filmmakers, Claire included, ask their friends to do some acting on the weekend to make their passion piece. Wes Anderson? Well, he got Ralph Fiennes, Ben Kingsley, Dev Patel, and Benedict Cumberbatch, among others. They tell the story of Henry Sugar in rapid pace. While they tell us a tale about a man who can see without using his eyes, there are extras changing the scenery and even the characters' clothes in real time. It's all done in that whimsical way that makes us love Wes. The actors all know the game at this point, and that adds to the humor. All of the characters break the fourth wall and address the camera. The story is cute and moves rather fast. It's 39 minutes long, but to me, it felt like it was 15 minutes. Matt, your initial take on Henry Sugar?
My initial take was I really want to show this to my kids, especially my 9-year-old. I think it's an adorable short film, perfect for Wes Anderson. Because if I'm being honest, Radio City was a little bit too long. Like if that was a short...
Asteroid City,
my apologies. So like all the things he does lend themselves to the short format perfectly. Like he has to be meticulous. He has to be whimsical with his background and scenery. He can use the plates and stuff like that. Very creative, perfect Wes Anderson. This might be his best work.
I don't know if I want to go that far, but this is this is another strong effort from him. While we were at break talking to Claire, or maybe this was during the interview with Claire, talking about how Wes doesn't make a bad movie.
True.
It's very true. It's tough to pick like a dud out of his filmography.
Asteroid City was pretty close.
We're going to watch it a second time.
All right.
But I will say you're right. He does those like creative touches in all his movies where he uses maybe like a quick animated cutaway when they're doing the chase scene in Grand Budapest Hotel. And he has to do these a lot of times we think because he's doing them, just to be, whimsical. In this case, he has to do it to be able to tell the story.
Yeah.
So I think it forced him to be even more clever than he normally is. And just to give you one example, they use like a screen behind the character that looks like the old school Hollywood when somebody would be driving and there'd be just the background moving behind them. In this case, they actually do it with a character walking, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before in a movie, to be 100% honest. So he's walking in place, but the background behind him is moving, and it's not supposed to look real. It's supposed to look
right. They show
Wes
you the
Anderson
edges.
Whimsical taste.
Yeah. Wes shows you the seams. He shows you the edges. You're supposed to notice it.
I agree. It was awesome. And the cast, phenomenal. And these are two actors making their Wes Anderson debut, because we're going to get to our best
Kingsley?
worst. Ben Kingsley, first time. Dev Patel, first time. It's actually 3. And the first time we get a Benedict Cumberbatch in a Wes Anderson.
That's weird. They all seemed right in place.
Phenomenal. Weren't they great?
Yeah.
I mean,
especially Kingsley.
Oh, yeah. And Cumberbatch. It's like, all right, Cumberbatch has got to be in all of Wes Anderson's movies after this. The way
I'd pick Kingsley if I could only pick one of the two.
No complaints on Dev Patel either. That guy's great.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk really quick. What an idea by Netflix to do 4 short films. Where else would he release this if it wasn't for a streamer?
And here's another thing. Like, obviously, he kind of proved this with Fantastic Mr. Fox. But these stories, the Roald Dahl stories, I had never, and I've read quite a few of them, I'd never read the wonderful story of Henry Sugar. Never even heard of it, to be completely honest. I'm so glad now that I have, this may have been a lesser known essay or short story of his that didn't get like critically acclaimed, and now I've seen like it's enriching. I'm so glad that Wes Anderson is telling these stories, and I'm so glad that it's Wes telling these stories.
I agree. Him and using the Roald Dahl material is like peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly.
It's like, this is fantastic stories for Wes to be telling.
Did you ever go Nutella and bananas?
Never.
Really?
No.
Oh, you should try it.
No. You mean just say that instead of peanut butter and jelly?
No, I mean just eat that.
I actually don't even
delicious.
eat peanut butter and jelly.
Oh,
Yeah, but I like to say it.
wine and cheese or something.
But
Release your inner child, right?
I do want to say, huge fan of this movie. Do you have a jaw-dropping moment in there that you want to highlight?
I do. Like the sets. It's the sets. That is the mechanical nature. And I don't think there's many cuts. There are a few. But a lot of this is just continuous. Like we go from set to set, and it comes apart like a stage set. And then, a character, an actor will walk from scene to scene. Awesome. That is a character in the movie.
Yeah, and really well choreographed because they got to stay in that character, and they really deliver the lines in high speed, right? It's like
they're reading it.
It's quick, man.
Yeah, I almost wondered if they had cue cards. Like they must have.
So my favorite moment was the old man, Ben Kingsley, who they discover can see without using his eyes. And they want to prove this. So they actually put bandages over his eyes. The entire setup of this is hysterical. And they put that mask on so that basically his entire face is covered other than his nose. The look of it is hilarious. But the rapid fire of the finger test of how many fingers they're holding up, and he's basically answering it almost in real time as they're holding up the fingers. 5, 3, 2, you got 2. No fingers up. 1.
Yeah.
And then he gets on a bike and he drives away. He can't see anything, and he's just into traffic. It was fantastic.
Very good.
Loved it. Movie poster quote here, Matt.
I'll have 2 lumps of Henry sugar.
You knocked it out of the park. I can't even go after that.
Ah, sure you can.
Tip of the hat there. That's well done. I went with A Wonderful Short from Wes Anderson.
It was.
It was.
How many jaws?
I'm going 3.5 jaws for.
I went the full 4.
You did?
I went the full 4.
Wow. So, I mean, look at us. I mean, there's just a half a jaw underneath, and you were a half jaw underneath mine on the one. We're agreeing.
We're pretty close.
This is good, Matt.
Yeah.
It is streaming on Netflix, Jawheads. Check out The Short.
Do it with the whole family. This is a wonderful movie to watch with kids.
And if you're listening out there and you've always been sort of afraid of Wes Anderson, some people think he's like too quirky and they see his movies and they're like, it's just not for me. Great one to start with because it's only 35 minutes long. You get to see what all the fuss is about and why we love him so much.
The gateway drug to Wes Anderson.
Now, Claire, you're a big Wes Anderson fan. So when we threw this question out, best worst, I wasn't dare going to say best worst movie because I couldn't pick a worst. So we decided on actor. Still tough because he works
really
with like a
hard,
family of actors, and I found this one excruciating to pick somebody their worst.
Yeah. I mean, I was ready to say the worst movie, in my opinion.
Oh, you were?
I was. I was prepared. But the best I could not choose. I like swapped like 5 times. I was like, this one. And then I reread what your question was, and I was like, oh, they're not asking about movie. They're asking about actor. And I felt like a little bit of relief, not because of the worst, but because of the best. So, yeah.
All right, we're going to flip it this time and start with our worst.
Okay.
All right? Claire, you're kicking it off. The worst...
Oh, no!
The worst actor
Okay.
in a Wes Anderson film.
I think it needs to be someone who's in the family, right? It can't just be like a one-off appearance.
I agree. I did somebody that was in a few.
Yeah. Okay. This is painful. I love him. I really love him, but I think he's probably the worst just actor of the bunch. Like just like in terms of if he's cast in another movie, it'd have to be a really specific role. Owen Wilson.
I considered going with Owen Wilson too.
I don't know.
Don't be wrong. I love him in specific roles. I love him in Midnight in Paris, but I love him in almost all of the Wes Anderson films too. But he's a really specific dude, and he kind of always plays himself. And so in terms of like someone who I think, or at least he plays the version of himself he's chosen to play over and over and over again. So in terms of someone with range and someone who's acting chops, I'd be like, oh my God, I think it has to be Owen, or maybe Luke, because he's kind of always mopey and he's not in as many of his brother. I don't know, but one of the Wilsons for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Considered that strongly myself.
Okay. I do want to say when we get to my pick, I took the question a little bit different. We didn't specifically say this, but I read it as the worst inside the Wes Anderson films, not the worst actor in general. Is it?
Oh, like in the film.
Like
I see.
who's annoying? Like are you saying like whose performance did you like the least in a certain film?
Yeah, you know how like Wes definitely everybody sort of gets. All right, I'm in a Wes Anderson movie, and they're quirky and they're over the top characters. Like I went with like who didn't necessarily get that assignment. That's how I took it.
Interesting. I'll be curious to hear.
So let me go since I set that up.
Yeah, let's do it.
And this is, you want to, I talk about nervous. I'm afraid to give my answer here because the hate mail I'm going to get on this. Very seldom do you put a 3-time Oscar winner on the worst, but I have to be honest. I've never been a fan. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say it.
Just say it.
Of Frances McDormand inside the Wes Anderson movies. Because I feel, now I love Frances, but because I feel she's really...
You son of a bitch.
She's playing herself. I don't know if she's playing that quirky kind of character that populates the Wes Anderson universes.
I hear you. Yeah.
In her most prominent role, she's
I'm trying to think of them, yeah.
She's in The French Dispatch, very small role. Her most prominent role is in Moonrise Kingdom. And she plays the mom in the movie. And I always think like, well, she's just playing it. I've watched it a couple times and I think, well, she's just playing it like a regular mom in any movie. I don't feel that she was in tune with all the other characters.
She was pretty great in French Dispatch, dude.
And then she voices one of the dogs, I believe, in
Isle of Dogs. Yeah.
But
I love Isle of Dogs.
It was really based off of that Moonrise Kingdom performance, if I'm being completely honest. This was a tough one to answer. Like I said, I love McDormand, but that was my pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt?
Got it.
Guys, I'm going to be completely honest too. It was not too difficult for me to pick this. I did consider Owen Wilson, and I didn't choose him because I think that even though I agree, Claire, he may not be the best actor of the bunch, he's funny. And he's
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. He's great in a Wes Anderson movie. I think that is right in his wheelhouse. Adrian Brody, however.
Shame on you, Matt.
I said it.
Shame on you. I like him as an actor, and I even like him in the Wes Anderson movies a lot.
The Darjeeling Limited, like I think he's the easiest to say he's the worst part of it. And then like I'm trying to even think of these other roles. The one that springs to mind first, and maybe it's because it's the most recent one I saw, is Asteroid City, where he's the playwright. And every moment he's on screen, I'm just like, come on, like get away from.
Isn't he in Grand?
He is in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah.
He's part of the muscle.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's good in that.
He has one of the funniest lines in Grand Budapest Hotel, where it's just like one of those, like he swears. It's hysterical. It's like a shocking line. So he has his moments. I like him in Wes Anderson a lot. I've even said when he goes, because he's been in slumps his career, I would say, and I say he needs a Wes Anderson because that sort of gets him out of his slump, and people see how talented he is. But
I don't see it.
I also just think I see your point of view. I think you're wrong, but I see your point of view.
It's fair. It's okay. Let's do our best now.
I wanted to go out on a high note.
Yeah.
That's why we switched it around. So Claire, your pick for best in a Wes Anderson.
Okay, so there's an obvious answer that I was close to doing, and I thought I'll be a little more quirky, and so I'm gonna go with Edward Norton. Big fan.
Hell yeah. He's always
I love
great.
his performances. I think he's an amazing actor in everything, so it kind of works both ways. He is someone who gets the vibe of the film, but also plays it straight in a remarkable way. Like he just himself is that kind of like inherently quirky person, but he also can play anything. Like he's got so much range outside of the world of Wes. So I think that he gets my vote, and just because I have a soft spot for Ed.
He's by far the best part of Moonrise Kingdom when he's Cub Scout leader. He's going through the tents. I mean, it's just literally hysterical, his performance.
Yes.
So yeah, I like Ed Norton in the Wes Anderson family.
But if no one else mentions my other favorite as number one, I'll go ahead and mention it at the end.
So why don't you go next? Because I actually wrote down 5 because I just didn't want to overstep anybody because I didn't know where to go with mine. So go ahead.
I actually saw this beautiful chart of the Wes Anderson family. It's got the actors' names along the bottom and the movies along the top. And then there's a line connecting each movie to each actor.
A family tree.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Like each line's a different color. I'll throw it in the show notes for everybody. You got to check this thing out. My favorite Wes Anderson actor is, talk about range. This guy's a chameleon, especially in the Anderson films, Willem Dafoe.
I love him in there.
Oh, yeah.
He is a wild card. I just don't think you ever know when he pops up. He could be the most bizarre character in the whole movie. He could only be there for like 10 seconds, and you're going to remember it. So I go with Dafoe. Every time I see him, I'm delighted.
Go with Dafoe.
Go with Dafoe.
That is awesome. And he's awesome in The Life Aquatic as Klaus. He's
Hell yeah.
hysterical in that movie. So
do you even have a movie without Dafoe? Like, I mean, obviously Murray, but Dafoe was the heart, the connective tissue. You know,
of which one?
Life Aquatic.
Life Aquatic. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I love him in there. So I went again based on actors who perform best in a Wes Anderson, right?
Okay.
So
Sure.
same way I thought Frances McDormand didn't quite get it, I went with the actor who I think gets it. And I think you know where I'm going. Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah, there you go. That's my guy.
So I would actually argue that Jason Schwartzman basically does his character that he refined in the Wes Anderson movies basically the rest of his career. That's Jason Schwartzman from that point on.
He's got some range, actually, but yeah, I agree.
It really is that, though, a ton, you know. And I love it, don't get me wrong. And when he appeared again in Asteroid City, it felt so good that he had like a main role. Because Grand Budapest Hotel, I think he pops up for a little while. You know, he might be a big player here or there. But when we get full-on Jason Schwartzman, like we do in Rushmore, like we do in Darjeeling Limited, and we get him in Asteroid City, I love it.
They're each other's good luck charm, you know. I think like he was in Rushmore, which was kind of Wes Anderson's breakout, and obviously it was Schwartzman's breakout too. So
yeah,
I love those two together.
That was mine. Special shout out to Ray Fiennes for Grand Budapest Hotel, and now he actually plays Roald Dahl in
Wonderful
Henry Sugar. And I mean, I'm laughing already thinking about how funny that chair was that he sat in as he told the story to us of, you know, he opens up the movie and that writing utensil. It's amazing, his attention to detail. He had that heater that was on. Did you notice? And the heater would turn on every once in a while. Like, Wes Anderson's brain is on just another level. I was laughing hysterically just from the image of Ray Fiennes sitting in that chair.
Me too. And every time he walks out the front door.
Yeah, he's got his slippers on.
I liked how this not to get back into the movie, but it goes down a few layers, like a story within a story within a story, and then it comes back up out of it. You got to see this thing. It's only 40 minutes long. It's totally worth it.
Yes. All right. Wow. Brings us to a big moment here. Movie trivia in honor of the wonderful story of Henry Sugar. We're playing Wonder movie trivia. Claire, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt Kay go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on a question, I might try to help you out.
Oh, man.
They start off easy.
I'll go first then.
All right. Wonder movie trivia. So think of movies with wonder in the title.
Okay, got it.
Claire, name the actress who plays Wonder Woman in the current DC films.
I can see her face. I'm not good at these. Wait. Someone told me I looked like her at a bar the other day, and I was very flattered. Holy shite. Interesting name. I'm stuck. I know her, but she's fabulous, and she's not from the U.S. And yeah, anyway, go ahead, whomever. Jill, if you would like to.
I was going to give you a hint, too. She's a great gal.
Ooh, Gal Gadot.
We'll give it to her. Yeah. We'll give it to her. It's 1-0, Claire. Good clue.
Just barely. I think this trivia is like my
kryptonite
fear. So yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Question 2. I tried to start them off easy here. Matt, what is Jimmy Stewart's character's name in It's a Wonderful Life?
Oh my God, George. Do I need the full name?
Yep.
Oh my God, Bailey.
Yes.
Yeah.
George Bailey.
Wow.
1-1. We're tied up. We go back to Claire.
Don't be scared, Claire.
Look at her. She's all giddy over there. She's very nervous.
Okay. George Bailey I would have gotten in a second because I have a poster on my wall that says George lassos the moon right there.
Nice. All right. Question 3. Who directed the 2010 movie Alice in Wonderland, which starred Johnny Depp, who played the Mad Hatter?
Tim Burton.
That is correct. All right, she's doing good here, holding her own. 2-1, back over to Matt Kay. 2017 film called Wonder told the story of August Pullman, a boy with facial differences who enters the 5th grade. Owen Wilson, Claire's favorite, played his dad. Who played his mom in the movie? Owen Wilson and who would be parents?
Boy, I have no idea. I don't know why I want to say Jessica Chastain.
That, my friend, is incorrect. Wow. You got a chance for a steal. It's Owen Wilson and who in Wonder?
Okay, so I saw this commercial over and over again. I don't know if I'm misremembering now, so that's what makes me kind of nervous. So it will either be right or embarrassing. Julia Roberts.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, I never saw it. I just saw the commercials. I just saw the trailer.
I just love that Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts can be a married couple in the movies, you know?
Only in the movies,
Only
right?
in the movies.
Yeah.
It is 3-1 Claire. She can blow this thing wide open.
And you were nervous.
Question.
Oh, no, I'm going to embarrass myself soon. Don't worry.
Question 5 is over to her. Claire, which actor played Burt Wonderstone in the 2013 comedy The Incredible Burt Wonderstone?
Oh, God. Wait, Burt Wonderstone. I never saw this, first of all. I'm going to say like Will Ferrell or something like that.
Wow, not a bad guess. Incorrect.
I think I know.
Not a bad guess.
Not a bad guess. I think you were in the right sort of category. I think it's Steve Carell.
That is correct.
Ah, nice. Yeah.
We got a ball game here. It is 3-2. Question 6 bounces back over to Matt K. This is a wonderful game of trivia. Matt, in 2000, Michael Douglas starred with Tobey Maguire, Robert Downey Jr., and Frances McDormand in this film about an English teacher trying to finish his book.
Wonder Boys, right?
That is correct. Yes. Ties it up at 3. It comes down to the last 2 questions. And they're usually the hardest ones.
We made it interesting.
We did. Question 7 to you, Claire. In 2012, Ben Affleck, Rachel McAdams, and Javier Bardem starred in this Terrence Malick film. Oh,
man.
That's tough.
That is a tough one.
I have no idea. I certainly have never seen it. I guess I should just use the word wonder, right, in the title?
Right.
Wondering.
So close. So close.
Really? Wow.
Matt?
Wonder Bread.
We're looking for To the Wonder. To the Wonder.
Never would have come up with that, yeah.
Last question. No. Last question. Matt, name the 2017 movie that starred Julianne Moore and Michelle Williams and was about 2 deaf kids that grew up 50 years apart.
What? What? Are you kidding?
We reviewed it on the show.
2017.
2017. I reviewed it on the show. You didn't see it. And very famously, I complained that there were subtitles on the movie, making an ass out of myself.
Don't give me a clue.
I had no clue that it was about deaf kids, and I made an ass out of myself.
Oh, that's right. That's such an embarrassing story.
One of my worst.
He actually went out to the lobby to complain, Claire. Can you believe that?
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're like, well, it's for the hearing impaired. I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
Should have read the synopsis before I went and complained.
Yeah, that was an epic fail on your part.
Do you remember what the film is called now?
No,
yeah,
I don't.
It, Matt?
That's the funny thing. Like, I'll never forget that story.
I have no idea. So you're going to... just say something that was Wonder.
Yeah, it's got to be Wonder. I wonder if Rye can make it. Let me think of an actual answer here. Wonder Man. I got nothing.
Ooh, so close.
Really?
You could take a guess. Wonder something. Claire?
It's wonderful to hear.
We're looking for...
It's really, really offensive, but I had to think of something that had to do with the topic.
We were looking for Wonderstruck.
Wonderstruck. Okay.
The game ends in a tie. It comes down to a jawbreaker, and the jawbreaker is this. It's to Claire for the win.
Oh, gosh.
Who's the better actress, Julianne Moore or Michelle Williams?
That's just an opinion, huh?
Yeah, totally.
For me, the edge goes to Michelle.
Incorrect. It's Julianne Moore. I mean, Matt wins this one.
Ask her the real jawbreaker.
Okay, the real jawbreaker is this. Here it is. Age of Steve Carell. Closest to. Matt, do you got a guess on how old Steve Carell is?
Okay. They just announced that they're possibly redoing The Office. Same cast. Coming back. And I was thinking about how old Steve Carell is because we all get those memes from The Office every day, ad nauseum. And I'm always...
I love it, though.
Yeah, me too. But I'm always intrigued at how young he looks. So I think he's 58.
We're locking him in at 58. Claire, do you got a guess? Closest to?
56.
He's 61. Give that one to Matt Kay.
Wow.
61 for Steve Carell.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, right?
Yeah. Wow. Good
Yeah,
game of
crazy.
trivia. You guys
game.
tied. See, you did well. Can I get a virtual handshake here?
Virtual handshake or fist bump. There you go.
I was thinking one of the questions might have to do with That Thing You Do. Have you guys seen that film?
Of course. Yeah, it's been a while.
The Wonders. O-N-E, like the
That
Wonders.
would have been good. See?
That would have been good.
Maybe Claire should be writing the trivia questions. She doesn't have enough on her plate. We'll call
No.
Claire and
Yeah,
we'll say,
no.
hey, can you write some trivia questions for us?
Yeah, I got lots of spare time. Let's do
There
it.
you go. Just write trivia questions for a podcast.
Brings us to the end of said podcast. And first and foremost, we got to thank Clare Cooney for coming on. And again, congratulations on the success of Departing Seniors.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
When you're at the Music Boxes and you get a spare second, just a second, come have a toast with us, please.
I would love to. Yes,
right.
if you're going to be there, that'd be so exciting.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
We will be there for sure. Absolutely. 100%. We also got to thank our editor, our producer, Phil Me and Phil.
Oh, thank you. Happy to do it. And, okay, so I helped Matt out a lot this week by putting some stuff in the show notes. We have Claire's Departing
thank
Seniors already linked in there, so you can buy tickets there. And then I do have that zine coming out in October, and October 7th, they are doing a launch party where the different artists published in it get to speak on behalf, and I get to do a speech on the works that are being published. And the link for that RSVP is also in the notes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Nice and convenient for the
Awesome.
jawheads.
And last, but definitely not least, we want to thank our Patreons
Hell
for
yeah.
supporting the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patreons. If you want to join us over there, you just go over to patreon.com/Cinemajaw and join us. We'd be happy as hell.
Happy as hell. Any level, by the way, unlocks our bonus content. So
It does.
Yeah, it's lots of fun.
And if you can't do that, at least leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
It's free.
It is. Until next week, I'm Rye the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay.
And keep on jawing about the movies.